Hello and welcome to a very special episode of Grubber's Game Box, a video feature from gamingculture.org, my own personal site dedicated to answering the question, how are video games a reflection of society? Now, Grubber's Game Box is a video feature where I take a game from my Steam library that I feel deserves a little bit more attention. So, here we are playing X3 Albion Prelude. This is the direct sequel to X3 Terran Conflict, a very complicated space simulation game developed by Egosoft and released initially in 2008. It's been updated a bunch since then with some Steam achievements, graphical updates, story missions, so it's a very stable, very pretty looking game. Now, I know a lot of you may have seen this game come up on several Steam sales, and you see the screenshots showing really cool ships moving past like that, and the great potential for a complex, deep, and satisfying space simulator where you can forge your own path through outer space. Now, this is the definition of an open-world game, in the sense that you can do whatever you want. There is a main story, but rule number one I would suggest is don't bother following it. Because really, this video feature is for people who bought X3, and I'm talking about Terran Conflict or Albion Prelude. You really don't want to play the ones before that because they are just way too obtuse. And when you're comparing it to this game, and I'm saying that those games are obtuse, well, then you know that you probably shouldn't play those games. Anyway, a lot of people find the trading and empire building aspects of the game too slow and too complicated. This is partly the fault of the developer for not really introducing a robust tutorial system. Instead, you often have to go online and look for tutorials to find out how you are supposed to trade, which is a critical aspect of this game. Now, I tried playing this game a couple of times using some of the other starts in the game. For instance, there's the Argon Peacekeeper. I'm sorry, that's actually a new one. There's the Argon Patriot, or the there's another one. I think it's the Terran. There's another Terran start that's not that. At least in Terran Conflict, they might have changed since then. Anyway, there were these starts where you started out with a very weak ship, very little money, and were essentially told to go out into the universe and figure it out for yourself. Now, I kind of said to myself, okay, what a great challenge. An hour later after that, well, I ended up saying, F that, this is too hard, what's the point? So I decided to pick a different start and go with the Bankrupt Assassin. So, if you'd find it difficult to get into this game, pick the Bankrupt Assassin start first, because, as you'll see, it's a little bit more of a strong start, and you'll get into action early and often. So, we started a new game, and I'm going to guide you through the initial part of this game so you can get on your feet militarily, economically, and it'll give you a sense of what the game is all about. I'm going to ignore the opening cinematic because one of the other pieces of advice I have about this game is to generally ignore the main story. I find the story that comes dynamically through your own actions, through non-story missions, and through building your own legacy in the game is a lot more interesting than the plot they put out. Which, you know, more credit to the developer for putting so many options in the game, but to my taste, I don't like that.
Flight School Buster.
Okay, so when you start the game, you're floating in space. And with with this start, the Bankrupt Assassin, you'll notice right away that you have enemies with Boron, and that might be Paranid. You have your enemies with Boron and Paranid. So we can check this, and you see right here, it says that I've got an okay relationship with the Argons. The Boron hate me, the Split kinda like me, the Teladi kinda like me. For some reason, I think at some point the Paranid dislike you as well, but that might be because you're friends with the Split. They're enemies in-game. So what you want to do first, and this will make the game a lot easier for you, is go to Gameplay in your menu, and change your Zeta factor to 10. This will make things go by faster. Also, go to Show Warp Tunnel. I don't know why this isn't default to start, but it at least gives you a nice opportunity to see your ship every once in a while. And speaking of ship, when you start out as one of the other starts, you're given a really weak M4 or M5 class ship. Those are essentially light fighters or interceptors. With the Bankrupt Assassin start, sure, you start out with no money. As you can see there under my account, I have 0 credits. But I get this instead. I get a Mamba, which is an M3 heavy interceptor class fighter. What this means is you have the power to stand up against freighters and lesser fighters. With one of the other starts, if you got surrounded by a bunch of other fighters, you were as good as dead. But with this start, you have a fighting shot.
Tikva's faith.
So when you start out in this sector, just to find out what sector you are in, hit period. Nope, sorry, don't hit period. Hit comma. We are in an Argonne border sector, which, with the Bankrupt Assassin start, is normally quite dangerous, because what happens is you have mercenaries coming after you if you jump into border space. But you start out in border space, so you're okay for now. So you want to follow this pattern to basically become a pirate and earn money, so you can upgrade your ship and eventually buy a new ship, which is much better, and allows you to do missions which are a lot more profitable. So we are starting in Aladna Hill, which we're going to try to find our way to Light of Heart, which is another Argonne sector, which is to the south. You can see to my bottom right I've got my menu.
Gate, Light of Heart.
Okay, we're going to go there. Something's wrong with it. I see. My joystick is taking precedent here. This is going to be annoying, I think. Oh well. So, for now, what we have is a start where our goal will be to make enemies with Boron. Originally when I played this game, I noticed that the Boron were somehow my enemies. I didn't know why, but I figured it was as good an excuse as any to start attacking Boron ships and trying to steal
Saving is only possible when docked at a station or by using salvage insurance.
So I'm actually going to try to... I would probably have to take away my joystick, but I don't feel like doing that just now. So I'm going to hit Zeta J, which speeds up time and lets things go by faster. This is another thing that new players really ought to know about the game, otherwise it's unbearable. I couldn't imagine playing it at normal speed the entire time. So we're going to go through Light of Heart, through the gate, and out the other side. And here's the warp tunnel thing I'm talking about. It gives you a quick shot of looking at your ship. I don't think the load time's any faster or slower. I just appreciate being able to see my ship once in a while, especially since you'll spend most of the game in a first-person camera view.
Entering system, Light of Heart.
So here we are in Light of Heart, and I want you to notice two things.
Kahuna Bakery, M. Beta.
Over here, that building there,
Argonne Equipment
is an equipment dock. You'll need to know that because when you get enough money, you're going to want to upgrade your ship's speed, rudders, and cargo capacity. After that point, you just want to save money, but those will be the first 3 upgrades you want to buy right off the bat. And after you cap your first ship, it shouldn't be a problem.
Weapon Component Factory, Alpha, Federal Argonne Shipyard.
And that's probably where you might want to buy your first upgraded ship. So the system of ships in X3 is unusual, and it's I believe it is a carryover from earlier games in the series. Being attacked.
Argonne, Food Trap, Paranid, Recon, Pegasus,
He's not gonna bother
Raider.
me. So yeah, the Paranids are enemies with you as well at this point. So anyway, the ship designations are strange. They're counterintuitive.
Gate, Montalar.
The weakest ship and fastest ship is the M5. Then, a little bit slower but a little bit more powerful is the M4. Then there's the M3, which I'm flying now. It's a slow but relatively powerful fighter. Then from M3 you jump to M6, which is a Corvette class ship. It's fairly nimble in the grand scheme of things, but you can mount a lot more weapons, but it's slow. But at that point you're going to be wanting to install a jump drive on your ship, which would let you jump to any gate you've previously explored. And that will let you take on assassination missions, which are very, very good to get. Then you get an M7, which is
Entering system, Montalar.
a slightly bigger, much more powerful version of a Corvette, of the M6. Then there's the M8, which is smaller than the M7, roughly the same size as the M6, but not as powerful, and it's a missile frigate. It only shoots missiles.
Arena.
And that's actually a big transport ship. And so right now I am in Montalar, which is an Argon core sector, and soon we're going to be jumping into a boron sector to start hunting. I'll explain that in a bit. So after the M8, you jump back to the M2, which is a destroyer class, which is really the ship you want to be aiming for. It bristles with guns, it's powerful, and it's nigh impossible to defeat, even if you're taking on entire racial fleets, not to say nothing of pirate fleets, which are really just composed of weaker ships.
Docking granted.
And then there's the M1, which is a carrier class ship. I don't like that too much because the AI system in this game is a little bit wonky in the sense that every time you take a carrier ship out, you run the risk of losing ships just by virtue of them running into each other. So I prefer an M2, but there are definitely players out there who like the carrier class. So we're going to land, autopilot it. You just basically click on the station, click autopilot, and the reason you want to do this is because you want to save before you jump into boron space. Reason being that you don't have flight insurance yet, which is something you need to buy. It's a gimmick, yeah, but you need to buy flight insurance to save while you're in flight. So I'm going to get out of here. And, okay, my joystick isn't doing the thing it was doing before. That's good. Now we're going to fly into Rolk's Legacy, which is a core boron sector. Now that's important because they will have more ships there. Even though they are supposed to have a relatively good security presence, they often don't. And it's not to say this isn't dangerous, it is, especially when you go out the first time because you don't have as many weapons as you want. Right now I've got 2 high energy plasma throwers, which are much more powerful than what you would start with in other game starts, but still, it's not a lot, and you have to spend a lot of time wearing down the enemy shield just for the chance of them bailing out and surrendering their ship to you, which is the goal here. We're gonna fly through the gate here. And by the way, if you're using a keyboard and mouse like I am, I have a joystick attached, but I don't like using it because I like doing this like it's a first-person shooter. Bit more responsive, I think, even though it's not as traditional. Purists would hate
Entering
me.
system, Rolk's Legacy.
The boron gracefully request you leave this sector immediately. You are prohibited from entering all primary boron sectors due to your poor status. Failure to do so will result in force being directed against you. You have 1 minute to comply with our wishes.
Okay, so basically, you are not allowed in boron sectors from the start of the game. So again, what better reason than there is to pirate on these people? Fish people. And when I first did this, I wasn't expecting to like get into it in a role-playing sense, because, hey, that's even nerdy for me, for somebody who likes playing space sims like this. But, after I got to play against them more and more, I felt like some of their actions they were taking against me as one of the most hated pirates in the this little fake universe was very personal. So I started like having almost racist hatred toward these buggers. Anyway, here's our first catch of the day. What we're gonna do is we're gonna slow down. Well, not too much though. He seems to be really fast. And then we're just gonna open fire on him. We want to knock his shields out and try to get him to bail out of his ship. Okay. He launched a fighter drone, which you have to take care of, otherwise we're going to be in a bad situation.
You are being
there we go.
Boron
now we're going to go back after him. I'm concerned on my radar. I believe there are police ships already in the sector, so this is a difficult start, but if I can do it...
Please stop this foolishness!
Not gonna. I'm gonna see if you can bail. So when you knock his shields down a little bit, I recommend holding off fire a little bit, just to see if he'll surrender. You should do it between 100 and 50%. If he doesn't do it past 50%, then blow him up. You'll just get your combat rating will improve, which will help you get better missions later on. And also, I like to pretend like I'm sending a message to these people, like...
I'm running! Somebody please help me!
That's not the line they use to eject. I think they say something along the lines of, I'm leaving, my ship is yours, or something like that. So, we didn't get... That was unsuccessful, we didn't win anything.
High-tech trade Boron, Angel.
Try this guy next. I don't... Shift 1 lets you zoom in on him a little bit. I don't think these types of ships surrender often, but let's try it anyway. One more thing I'm going to do, go to gameplay. I'm going to change it to numerical shield hull display. I think it's a little bit easier to figure out what's going on. Alright, we're going to attack this Angel, which is a troop transport. Let's see if we can get there in a bit.
Requesting fighter support before it's too late.
Just keep your cursor aimed over their,
Attention, energy low.
this little cursor here. This little crosshairs. They're shooting at me. The damage they're doing isn't so bad. So we should be able to take them down. I've actually... This might be a new ship. I don't remember seeing this type of ship before. Because with Albion Prelude, which they released very recently, they added new ships.
And the shields are down. I need help now.
Before you died. Okay, it's doing more damage to my shield than I'd like. I'm gonna give up. Okay, I gotta stay to his front. Otherwise he can't shoot me. He's gonna turn, isn't he? Lower my speed, try to get underneath them. Mouse wheel, control speed, which I use most of the time.
I'm hit and the shields are down. I need help now.
You know, it's possible that this ship, this type of ship, they don't bail out, but I've already engaged it, so I'm just gonna destroy it. So the other keys, WASD, oh god. Alright, I need to get out of here.
Boron, escort.
That
Hydra,
is an
alert,
M6.
Missile closing.
God. Okay, I need to get out of here quickly.
Alert, missile closing.
That ship behind me is an M6 Hydra, and I can't take it on right now. So what I need to go do is retreat. And this is the nice part of pirating in the sector, is that you jump back to friendly territory, they won't attack you. The Boron will not retaliate. So what I'll do is I'll just go back to my station, save, hold my SATA down for a bit, and then go back and see if I can
system.
have more success in the future.
Docking granted. Autopilot activated.
And you just have to be willing to retreat like that early on. Later on, you'll be able to destroy anything that comes in your direction. But at this point, you just have to run. You just can't take risks like this. Such is the life of a pirate.
On behalf of our president and senator, the Argon Federation.
Connection to local trading network established.
And I think we let enough time go by. We'll go. You see, to my bottom right.
Boron, Angel.
That ship escaped. And it's continuing its trip into to Argon space. But also notice that it's not pursuing me. I'm gonna wait though, because I want to make sure that when I go, I don't run back into that M6. Those things are slow, so it's probably still trudging around that sector, going back through whatever gate it came through. Or not.
Boron, escort, Hydra.
If you select any ship
The
that
Boron
you'll learn
Hydra
about
is a
it. So that's the
Corvette
M6 that was attacking me.
originally developed to give
I hope it's not turning around to bite me. Oh god.
Target is now in firing
It is firing at
range.
me, okay. Let's run. Oh no. Oh no, it's gonna kill me. Well, this episode of Grubber's Game Box got a lot more interesting. Because I'm being
Target
chased by an
left
M6
firing
that I
range.
cannot possibly hope to fight. The only thing I've got in my corner here is that I can outrun it in the short term, but it also has 2 escort fighters following it that seem
Entering
pretty keen
system.
on punishing me
Rogues
for...
Legacy.
The Boron gracefully request you leave this sector immediately. You are prohibited from entering all primary Boron sectors due to your poor status. Failure to do so will result in force being directed against you. You have 1 minute to comply with our wishes.
What I'm gonna do is see if he's following me, or if I just happened to get in his way when he was flying back through Argon space. If he's following me, then I am not in a good position, because I need to basically run all the way back to Argon space and then wait him out at a station, which kinda sucks. To be honest, I've never had this situation happen to me this early in the game, where you run up against a competitor who you cannot possibly fight against. And the whole point of playing the start isn't to get in those situations, it's to have fun with the game and be able to take on weaker opponents, so you can become stronger yourself.
Boron Weapons Dealer.
Okay. He has a good ship, let's see if we can take him out.
You have failed to comply with our order for you to leave all
Weapons
Boron
dealers and
sectors.
high-tech dealers tend to fly these
Interceptor vector
M3 class
authorized.
ships,
With regret, we will now neutralize your ship.
and they bail out sometimes. And these ships are worth a lot. And he's not gonna bail.
You are being promoted. Gate Montalar.
Alright, so we're gonna wait for another quarry. A few years ago, this game completely ate my time.
Paranid Courier.
I don't like to attack the Paranid because eventually I want to try to form an alliance with them. And if you don't attack their ships,
Boron Police Mako Raider.
then eventually their aggression towards you will decrease. And I'm not interested in having 2 enemies right now. just because
Atreus Freight
if I ever
Transporter.
fly through their sectors, I don't want to be harassed by their police or their worst case scenario, and their M6 like I just encountered. So Atreus Freight Transporter. Atreus is a Boron company. I like how in this game... Ooh, cool.
OTAS Biotransporter.
Cool. There are corporations in this game that are associated with the races. OTAS is an Argon Federation. Argon Corporation.
Atreus Freight Transporter.
And Atreus is a Boron Corporation. And in one game...
Paranid Recon.
And
Pegasus
in one game,
Sentinel.
I actually played it so that I bought an M2 and outfitted it with my own weapons, and then blew up Atreus HQ. I
Target
think with
is
this
now
kind
in
of game,
firing range.
if you're not following the main
Target
storyline,
left
you
fired,
really need
no
to set your own
aim.
goals, otherwise you'll be lost.
Asteroid.
And I think that's the reason this game turns off so many people, is they don't see the point. It very much is a sandbox, and you have to know what to do with it. So this is a presentation more or less for people who want to get into action early and don't want to feel weak all the time. Even me outrunning that M6 was...
Atreus Freight Transporter.
I didn't feel weak, I got away, and as soon as I get a little bit of money,
Target
I'll
is
feel
now
even
in
stronger.
firing range.
More weapons and more,
We live for peace. Someone, please help me.
Come on, fail. Fail. Not gonna bail, huh? You know, at least they're not launching fighter drones.
Attention.
I
Energy
hate it
low.
when they launch fighter drones. They're just really hard to destroy, and they take so little damage off you that you think, oh, I'll just ignore them, and then as soon as you fly in a straight
I'm
line,
running.
they weren't gonna survive.
Boron Freight Transporter.
Oh, hello. Yep, attack me, and then surrender. This is an M3 I'm attacking. It's a Buster. It's an Argon ship too. It just happens to be a boron flying it. Well.
Gate Montalar.
It happens. Really, I want to capture a ship so I can end this episode. So I can show you what to do, and then what'll happen going forward. So this video will be much longer than I would want it to be. Waiting. One thing I will say to the detractors of this game is that yes, there is a lot of waiting, and even though it's a very pretty game, it can also be a very boring game. But it means nothing to you as an audience when nothing happens when I'm trying to prove to you that this game can actually be pretty engaging. Especially when I'm making the game go 1000% faster. Or rather, 10 times faster. Which is the same thing. It's been a long day at work. Anyway. Oh, here we go. I feel good about this one.
Biotransporter.
And sometimes I like to taunt them by hitting C
For the love of the Queen,
and
one
run.
asks for repeat of question. Cannot understand. We're at peace.
Yeah, you're not. We're not at peace. In fact, I hate you.
Target is now in firing
And we're gonna hit
range.
Shift 1, which lets you get a better shot, a view of what's going on, and I'm gonna open fire. This is actually a pretty valuable freighter. It's larger.
We live for peace.
Come on. I had like no shields. There's a memorandum put out saying that they shouldn't surrender to me anymore.
Silicon Mine. M. Alpha.
Someone will come through, and someone will let me capture their ship. It should be them. It's just as simple as them leaving their ship. Why aren't they? Go back to waiting. Here we go. Who's this?
Boron. Employee shuttle
I doubt they're
service.
gonna surrender.
Target is now in firing
It's
range.
hardly worth the effort.
Boron vessel under fire. Request help. Anyone.
I think one of the things they changed in Albion Prelude is the amount of hull damage you do with regular weapons. It used to be where if your shields went down, you were as good as
You are
dead.
being Gate Montalar.
But now I think you can take a little bit more damage before you blow up. And other than that, I haven't noticed a lot of the changes in Albion Prelude. That has to do with the fact that I've never really been into the trading aspect of the game. But I will say this, if you do get into the piracy aspect of the game, you might think that you're missing out on a large part of the game, and that's simply not true. If anything, when you get into piracy...
Paranid. Freight transporter. Boron. Food transporter.
Leave this one out. When you get into piracy, you learn about the systems in a very different and unique way.
Boron. Fresh food. Boron.
Okay.
Food
There's a lot
transporter.
of good potential enemies here.
Boron.
Yeah, a lot.
Food
They were all, like, built
Boron. Food transporter.
So many.
Paranid. Freight. Boron. Food transporter.
I'll get back to that piracy and learning about economics thing.
Target
Bit.
is now in firing range.
Boron requesting fighter support before it's too late.
Crap, he's probably got drones.
I'm yielding.
Oh, he's
I'm
yielding.
yielding.
Great.
Take all I have.
See, that's why you don't want to attack them too much. And I got an achievement for that. Alright, I'm not gonna get greedy. I'm gonna just capture this ship. And it doesn't look like I took a lot of damage off of it, and this is gonna be a very worthwhile ship to cap. And here is a risky part. When you capture ships, you have to get out of your ship, and if another ship jumps you, you're gonna die pretty quickly. But again, I'm not gonna be greedy. Sometimes I probably would be and attack the rest of the ships and see if I could take two at once, but that's not the point of this. What you do is you stop your ship next to it, eject from your ship. Don't worry, you'll be able to get back in.
Dolphin.
Click on the new
Super
one.
freighter.
Claim.
Ship computer control transfer.
And then when you're outside of your ship, this is something else they don't teach you, but it's extremely useful. Right click. You're using a repair laser on it. For this ship, I don't think it's too necessary to repair it too much. What will happen is I'm going to sell this ship at the shipyard that we passed a couple sectors back.
Low.
And I'm going to make sure that I get as much money for it as possible. And if you have any hull damage, you lose money. But at 90% or so, I think it should be okay. And it's a really weird system in that they give you a repair system, and it works fine with your fighters and stuff because there's not a lot of hull points. But they let you hold down the laser, and it doesn't matter how much energy you have. It just makes this weird, like sound, like it's running out of energy, and it makes that flashing sound. So what you can do is just put something heavy on your mouse and leave it there until the ship is repaired. I'm not gonna do that. It just seems like a weird oversight.
Mamba.
So I'll enter my ship, and then I'm going to move away from this. Okay.
Dolphin.
I'm going to
Super freighter. XL.
Yeah, it actually did have fighter drones. Didn't use them though. I'm going to go to Orders, Command Console, Navigation, Dock at Light of Heart, Federal Argon Shipyard.
Docking granted.
And it'll do that on its
Command
own.
accepted.
And all I have to hope for is that they don't... this ship here doesn't run into enemies, which there are a lot of them.
Boron. Food transporter.
But so long as they
Boron,
are
Boron,
transporters like this,
stealer.
you should be okay.
The Royal Boron Navy.
Okay. Let's try to take out this food transporter. See if I can add to
food
what my gains are,
transporter.
because I'm not going to leave the sector until my captured ship leaves the sector. And it's moving very slowly, so it's going to take a while.
Target is now in firing
So I'll
range.
take this guy out.
Moran requesting fighter support before it's too late.
And capturing ships is the way... capturing and selling ships is the way you earn money early on. If you don't have the patience to sell ore between station to station. I have never been into that.
Teladi, Froze Boron, food transporter.
I respect the people who have the patience for it. I don't. I just don't.
Boron, fresh food supplier. Boron, food transporter.
Am I missing someone here? I feel like I'm missing one of the ships I wanted to capture. Let's go check here. Nah, I guess not. Whatever, the fresh foods ones generally don't tend to be well armed, which is fine by
Boron,
me.
fresh foods supplier.
Let's take this guy out next. It's the ones that it's the ones that have weapons
Target
aboard,
is now in
like
firing
military
range.
transports that tend to be more heavily
vessel under
armed.
fire.
Fresh food
Request
supplier,
Anyone?
as in real life. Okay,
Boron, fighter drone MK2. You are being promoted. Boron, fresh food
Special, wasn't
supplier.
You dropped your freighter, give up the ship, don't be a hero.
Attention, energy low.
Okay, be a hero, what do I care? I'm just a pirate. A racist pirate who only fights fish people.
Moran, almost done.
Yeah, you're almost
Peace.
done. No, you are.
What's his favorite?
再见，我的朋友.
Boron,
Alright,
fresh food supplier.
oh, hello,
Boron,
sorry.
fighter drone MK2.
His friend's gonna get some revenge on me, huh? I didn't see that he dropped
No
two freighter
aim.
drones, but it doesn't matter. Okay, where is his
Ore
other
mine.
friends?
Boron, passenger shuttle. Boron, fresh
Fresh
food
fruit supplier's heading my
supplier.
direction, so I might as well hit that while it's
Target is now in firing range.
heading
Moran
for me.
requesting fighter support
And
before it's
If
too
you
late.
can send two ships back at once, it's all the better, because it divides enemy attention should you get attacked.
Attention, energy
He's
low.
gonna surrender either. What's great is when you get an M6, you can just ram these ships, and your shield's strong enough to accept it. Right now, I don't have enough to make that a reality.
I am hit and the shields are down. I need help now.
Yeah, I hope in the expansion they're coming out with, that they do a better job with the voice acting and stuff. It kind of takes you out of the game to have to listen to these like speak and spell aliens saying the same things over and over again. And when you're a pirate and you're doing the same things over and over again, that's bad enough.
Now in firing range.
We live for peace.
Yeah.
Someone, please help me.
You live for peace. Come on, just give me your shit. So yeah, the voice acting gets annoying, but whatever. It's a space sim, and those are far and few between in the world these days. So, mad props to Egosoft for producing games like this. God knows I'll buy them all the time. This and Sins of Solar Empire are the two space games that I will buy forever.
Centaur.
I want Centaur, what? Oh. Speaking of M6s that you might want to buy, we'll just get up close to this. This was the first M6 I bought when I had enough money, and because I didn't know how to do this at first, it took me about 10 hours to get enough money for it, but if I were to continue doing this, I could probably have it in 2 hours. The issue then is you have to accept missions with the Argon people to get enough of a combat rating and a friendship rating so that they'll sell this to you, but it's a pretty cool looking ship. Although actually the OTAS ships, which is the Argon corporation, their M6, the Skyron, is much better. And that is actually the ship I used as my main ship for most of the game until I bought another OTAS ship, the M2 Boreas. So we're going to be waiting a little bit because I want to show you what happens when that ship goes back into its sector. I'm going to actually follow it out and save. So let's go. Then I'm going to talk about where you can go for additional resources for this game. So yeah, when you buy this game on Steam,
Entering system Montalar.
what you might be tempted to do is buy the gold pack.
Autopilot activated.
And the only way I advise doing that is if you just want to support Egosoft by giving them more money. But if you're buying the game on sale, then what's the point? Just buy the good one. Buy at least X3 Terran Conflict, and I can't remember if Albion Prelude is a standalone or separate game. But you do not need X3 Reunion.
And Senator,
you do not need any of the X games that came before this. They're maddeningly difficult and seriously just not worth your time. Okay, let's and just to give you an idea of some of the other stuff you'll eventually be doing, you see up here the station has a combat reticule here. What that means is that you can get in comms with them by clicking on them and hitting C when you're within 25 kilometers. And you'll see this guy here, Dal Yatar. He's got that cross next to him. He means he's got a mission.
Is there something I can help you with?
You got a job for me?
I've got something that might interest you then. I need someone taken care of.
Okay, so this is an assassination mission, which we won't accept because you need a jump drive for that. For it to be worth your time.
Transmitting information now. Do you want the job?
No, I don't want this job. No. But the reason you'd want to have
Dolphin Super Freighter X autopilot activated.
The reason that you'd want to have a jump drive is because when you're told to assassinate someone in a different sector, there are two important things to realize. The difficulty of the mission depends on how far away that is, from you where you are now. For missions ranked average or above, you do not have enough time to get to that sector on your own, under your own speed. Only missions that are easy or very easy have that possibility. And really, if you're playing this game trying to get credits per hour, it's not worth your time. But when you get a jump drive, you'll be able to jump to any sector you've explored, to any gate you've explored, instantly, or actually within 10 seconds, but that's more than enough time to come upon your target. Now, if the sector is particularly big, don't worry about it. because the assassination targets always spawn directly in front of one of the gates. So if you spawn into a sector at the east gate, for instance, and your target is 60 kilometers away, odds are he's right next to the western target, a western gate. So you just need to jump again within the same sector, and that's how you do it. Don't ask me where you buy the jump gate, I've actually forgotten, but it's not something you need to worry about until you're about 10 hours into the game. I think you buy it from one of the corporations. So let's just speed up the game again. I'm just following my ship. And as I said before, when you're in Argon territory, you're generally safe from other Boron ships like that one that's passing me. And like I said earlier, if you're interested in learning about more about this game, the Egosoft forums are obviously a good place to visit. And actually, what I really suggest you do is go to Google and type in X3 Terran Conflict Gamers with Jobs. And the reason I say that is because the Gamers with Jobs community is sort of a collection of older, more mature gamers who put a lot of time into games that some other people might not necessarily give a lot of attention. For instance, Dwarf Fortress, or they still play XCOM, the old XCOM games. But the X3 thread really turned into its own weird sort of role-playing experience, where basically a few of the other forum members and I started playing the game very seriously, but we all had our own ways of playing it. Some people played the game by adhering very closely to the storyline, others did it by becoming dedicated traders and running the game in the background as they did work, and a few people like myself went a complete combat route and roleplayed as if I was a racist, nationalist, ultra-nationalist Argon who didn't like the Argonian relationship with the Boron. And it's just a new and unique way to play the game, and I had a lot of fun with it when I did it that way. After about 100 hours of it, over the course of one nerdy summer, I kind of got tired of X3 in the sense that I had reached the top and I had accomplished my goals, and I felt like I had beaten the game. But lately I've been listening to podcasts like the Giant Bombcast, which I highly recommend.
One of your ships is under attack.
Being attacked.
Montalar. Paranit, high-tech transporter.
Okay.
You
That
have
might be bad
gained
for me.
recognition. You are being promoted.
Because I don't want
Free silicon mine.
I don't want the Argon
and
police to get
beta.
mad at me. What happened there was self-defense. You all saw it, right? Of course, they're still gonna get mad at me because that's the way this game works. Is that maddening things like that happens? But anyway, so I heard on the Giant Bombcast that some of the people on that program had been trying to get into X3, but they found it really hard to get into, and understandably so. This is not a simple game to get into. This is not a game like Eve where you're gonna get ganked a lot or anything like that. It's purely single player, so your fate is in your hands to a large extent. But there's nothing really holding your hand here. I believe Egosoft is a German company, and I wrote an article for my site about how Eastern European and Russian companies tend to take a much more hardcore approach to the way games are developed and the way players are made accountable for their actions. Okay, so we're finally in the sector that we want to dock our freighter at. And again, what you should do, and I'm not doing it for the sake of just showing you what
Entering system.
eventually you'll
Light
be
of
doing.
heart.
What you should do is continue to hunt for ships in that sector, and then when you've captured about 5 or 6, then take the trip back here and sell all these ships. But I'm just going to do it here just so you get a basic, very beginner idea of how much money you can make early on. And it's not like you're losing anything. Remember, you were already enemies with the
Dolphin. Super freighter. Autopilot activated.
You were already enemies with them, so you're not losing faction respect with them. And yeah, it's going to be difficult having to take on take on Boron throughout the course of this start, but it's definitely an action-packed and interesting way to begin the game. A far cry from starting out with some podunk trading ship and a vague mission saying, you know, collect energy cells and then sell them like 3 sectors over. I mean, video games are supposed to be fun, and if you have fun playing a game like it's a trading simulator, more power to you. But if you're like me, and you need a little bit more to keep your attention, then this is a great way to start. I also really dig the cool ambient science fiction soundtrack. It's very relaxing. Which, when you're a pirate like me, is necessary. Is just necessary.
Autopilot off.
I'll wait for the ship to dock. Because eventually what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to buy trading software, which you'll be able to do after this, right? Actually, once you get enough money. So we're waiting. Okay, he's on this clearance to dock. I've done this so much, I know exactly what's happening. I'm happy the Argon's gonna get mad at me for destroying that Paranid ship. I don't know what they would have expected me to do if this was anything realistic. Okay, it's getting ready to dock now.
Federal Argon shipyard. Docking granted. Autopilot activated.
So I'm gonna land, and my ship just landed, and then I'm gonna land. My ship's right there, you can see it in front of me. So what we do is we go to trade, and you see right here that I can sell this ship. I can also repair it, but that's stupid. So I click down here to market, hit OK, boom.
Sold.
That ship disappears over there, and I have 874,663 credits, which is pretty good. Yeah. And actually, something new I noticed they added to Albion Prelude is you don't have to go to the equipment dock to upgrade your ships anymore. So you can just go to upgrade ships here, click on your Mamba, and you hit OK, and then you can go to rudder optimization, boost that all the way up, it'll make you turn faster and make things easier. Engine tuning, you've already got that. Cargo bay extension, sure, why not? Carry more things, that's good. And you see here that these things are in red because you don't have enough faction strength with them yet. But eventually that'll change, and you'll be able to buy more things like high energy plasma throwers, which you might have to fly around and look for. But other things we want to buy, have that. We want the trade system extension, which will let us sell our ships remotely, so we don't have to fly all the way back here.
Installed.
And I usually buy this stuff. I generally don't know what it's for, but
supply special command, patrol command software,
mineral scanner, sure.
Mineral
Okay.
scanner.
And that's it. Eventually, what I would do now is go back to the sectors where I was before. I go back to Rolk's Legacy. I would keep on hunting until I had roughly $6 million, which means I'd have to capture about 7 more ships or so. I could get lucky, get an M3, which are worth about 2 to 3 million, and I'd be well on my way to having enough money for an M6. At that point, what I would do is I would fly back to Montalar and Light of Hill and Aladna Hill. And actually, I'm going to fly to Aladna Hill right now to show you something that happens with this start, which is rather difficult.
Gate Montalar.
Okay, not Montalar, we're going to go north.
Gate Aladna Hill.
And you would go to these sectors and you would fight, you would accept combat missions. Even if they don't give you a lot of money, what they'll do is they'll give you status, and eventually, rather quickly actually, you'll get enough money, you'll get enough reputation to buy an M6. So buy an M6 and you can go anywhere you want without being harassed by more or less anything. Because you'll be able to outrun big ships like M2s and M1s and M7s. And you'll be able to take on all the smaller ships. So when you jump to a new sector, Aladna Hill is an example of this. What you have to be careful of is with this bankrupt assassin start, you have assassins after you. And they are very difficult to take on. And if you're not well prepared, they will jump you out of the gate right behind you. Here we go. See?
Pirate Buzzard.
And these are not weak ships. They will mess you up. It's good to be near,
Pirate Discoverer Vanguard.
yeah, see, I'm already getting messed up pretty badly here. Let's see.
Alert. Missile closing. Pirate
Let's
Buzzard.
try to get out of here. I took one out. I feel good about that. I hope they don't follow me.
Target
And if you're not
left
prepared for that,
firing
they will
range.
kill you in a heartbeat. If you keep on going into a sector forgetting that could happen, you'll get about 5 kilometers out, and they will follow you and they will kill you. So I think that about does it for a very basic introduction on how to get into piracy, how to get into a very fast start in this game, which is criticized by many as being a... Yep, they followed me.
Pirate Buzzard.
That's okay. I'll get reputation actually for destroying these guys. That's another way you can get reputation. But yeah, this is a very fast-paced and unique way to start a game. It's not a way that a lot of people are comfortable starting with because it is, you know, you make enemies quickly, and some people want to be friends with everyone. I don't, and it's just fun to have a most hated racial enemy in a game. It's definitely role-playing at its finest. If you get really lucky, one of these guys...
Teladi Freight Transporter.
One of those guys will bail and you'll get to keep his ship. So that about does it. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below. Like I said, just Google Gamers with Job X3 Terran Conflict and read that thread. A lot of great advice for newbies to the genre. And keep an eye out for the sequel to this game, which I've forgotten. I might annotate this video to let you know. And once again, this has been episode 4 of Grubber's Game Box, a video feature for gamingculture.org, a site that asks a simple question with complex answers. How are video games a reflection of society? Visit gamingculture.org for videos and essays and comics about that topic, and stay tuned for more videos in the future. Hope you enjoy. Cheers.